Hello again, Internet friends. This is Todd Clint bringing you another Windows tablet unboxing. As always, you can follow me at Todd Clint on Twitter or go to YouTube and YouTube/Todd Clint Netcast and find out all the unboxing videos I do. I also do a weekly podcast on technology things. You can follow me there. This week I will be doing an unboxing of the Insignia Flex 8 Windows tablet. This is another budget Windows tablet. It is $99 if you go to bestbuy.com. If you'd like to pay more, you can go to Amazon, and I think it's like $120 there. But I picked this up at my local Best Buy for $99. This has the same general hardware characteristics as the other budget tablets that I've covered and that we've seen. It's got an Intel 3735 processor in it. It's got 1 gig of RAM. This particular model has 16 gig of storage. Comes with 1 year of Microsoft Office 365 Personal, which normally costs you $70. So you're really getting a tablet for an extra $30 or so. But it's got Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. But I thought I would add this. I've done an unboxing of the Toshiba Encore Mini, which is a 7-inch tablet, and has mostly the same hardware specs, a little different, costs the same, and I was struck by the contrast between these two, so I thought I would do an unboxing video and share that all with you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and test this out. So again, here's the box. Picked this up. My local Best Buy had them in stock, and so I just grabbed one off the shelf, walked home. Immediate satisfaction. That's the way that I like this. One interesting thing that sticks out is you'll notice this little sticker down here. The tablet has 16 gig of storage, but it also comes with a 16 gig micro SD card. That's a nice touch. This is the only tablet I've seen that includes that. They all have micro SD slots, but this is the first one I've seen that actually comes with a micro SD card. Again, Office 365 Personal right there. Again, $70. That gets you Word and Excel and all that kind of stuff. Here's the back. Not much to this. We're going to talk about this mostly. One interesting thing, though, that I did pick up was if you look in the English explanation, it says that it's got an Intel Z3735F processor. If you look at the Spanish side, though, it says it's got a Z3735G. Now, I didn't do very well in high school Spanish, but I didn't think that F translated directly to G. I thought those were mostly the same. But we'll see, though they are actually different processors. If you go to Intel, go to their architecture thing, they do have different pages for each of those, so I'm not sure what the scoop there is. But mostly common stuff. Windows 8.1, Intel processor, 8-inch panel, 1280 by 800, which is not bad. Kind of small, especially if you're used to a desktop box, but for a tablet, that's not a bad resolution. 802.11 BG&N wireless, Bluetooth 2.1, 3.0, and 4.0, 1 gigabyte of RAM, 16 gig of storage. 2 megapixel front and rear facing cameras. Not great, but good enough for most things. Got a 400 milliamp battery and a couple other things. So this has a micro HD connector, which is a nice touch, and we'll talk about that a little later. But enough with all the boring stuff. You can see all that on the web. Let's go ahead and open this little bugger up. So opening it up, we've got some package contents. We don't care much about that. We already read all that stuff. Words, but there is some Windows 8.1 setup stuff in here, and this is interesting because if you're not used to Windows 8.1, it can be kind of a trouble to get up and going. So if you haven't used Windows 8.1, it's good to read through this and just kind of see what things work, how to connect to the internet. You may want to do that. I hear the internet's big these days. Yeah, so that's good. But we'll set that out to the side. If you're watching this video, you're probably a seasoned pro with Windows, so you don't need that kind of help. We'll take the tablet itself out. The white is glaring a lot off my lights, so I'm going to go ahead and get everything out of here and then get rid of that so we don't get quite as much glare. Important information, as if anything in these was not important, but this is more Windows training. We have our charger, our wall wart, and I've held it upside down here. Comes with an American jack, but that's okay because I bought it in the US, so that'll work. And this is 2 amps, so this is more than the USB standard, so this is good. If you want to make sure you get the best charging time for this tablet, you'll make sure you want to use this or some other 2 amp charger. And we've got our cable for hooking it up to our computer or charging it. And I think that is it in the unboxing. Pretty boring boxing. I mean, Apple didn't put this together, you can tell. But also for $99, not bad. Let's see if I can get that back together. Oh, look at me go. I almost got it. Not long enough. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's get this box out of the way. It's done good for us. I'm going to take this charger. I'm going to set it off to the side too. We don't need this. I've got plenty of chargers laying around. So this is some boring legal stuff, also some troubleshooting, things like that in here. One problem that I have with my other tablets is getting it to turn on sometimes, and it's got a thing in here about that. These tablets use pretty aggressive power-saving things, and sometimes that backfires on us. We've got some more of the specifications. I already bored you to tears with that. Legal notices, I think it's important that we go ahead and read that. That's an important thing. This equipment, no, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. But again, some troubleshooting, warranty information, so keep that around or take pictures of it with your cell phone, something like that. That's what I do. Okay, so we'll take this out. So here is the tablet. First order of business is removing the protective film before I use it. That's always a good idea. And you can also see my reflection in the screen, so you can tell it's very shiny. That's all good. We've got it feels good. It's got a good weight to it. It feels sturdy. We've got the edge here that's got all the connectors. You probably can't see them very well. We've got headphone, micro-SD, which already has the card in it, mini HDMI, the USB on the go connector or OTG, power. And up here we've got the another, that must be, let's lock and unlock, and then volume up and down, and then a capacitive Windows key there. So let's go ahead and remove this protective coating. I'll take that sound out in post. Alright, so there we go, we have it. Let's go ahead and power this thing on. I'm going to hold the power button down. Maybe I should have read the instructions better. Or maybe it's got no charge. It's one of the problems with these unboxing things. I can't charge it ahead of time because then it's already unboxed. That's cheating. So I'm looking to make sure I know which button is which in here. And again, that one looks like power. So we'll turn that on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nothing. Okay. So in anticipation of that, I do have a power cable right here. Then I have a bunch of things sitting on so that it can't, there we go, can't quite reach. So let's plug that in case power is the issue. Yep, it's got no juice. So manufacturers have gotten pretty good about making sure that these have power in them. But this one apparently sat at my desk too long. It did not. So we'll let that charge for just a second, and then we'll come back and turn that on. Okay, here we're back. The tablet has been allowed to charge for a bit. It's feeling a lot better off. So we're going to run through the setup here again. I've also got a little stand for it here. A little tablet stand I bought from Amazon a couple years ago. Really great. I'll put a link to it in the show notes so that you can enjoy it like I do. Going to pick my time zone again. I'm still in the Central Time Zone. I'm going to agree to these license terms. I printed them off, read them all very well. Very good stuff. It's all very reasonable of them. Going to pick my color again. I like some light blue there. I'm going to call this thing Flex. Going to attach to my local internet here. I'm going to block this out eventually so that you guys don't come by my house, steal my internet, and do sick and nefarious things with it. Verifying and connecting. I'm going to customize these just because I like to look through, kind of see what's going on. The first thing here is, I'm going to turn this light down a little bit, it's kind of glary. It's a little better. All right. Whether this will be for home or work, which means is it going to share out media, things like that, I'm going to say yes. For machines like this, I like to set it to automatically install all the important updates. On machines like my desktop and my servers, I will sometimes change that because I don't like them rebooting without me knowing, or installing patches that I haven't approved. But for this, there's never going to be anything too important on here, so I'm okay with it. Go ahead and updating whenever Microsoft has something out. Go ahead and do it for drivers. Go ahead and do it for apps. I'm all for it. This says it's going to go out and look for errors when it finds problems, but it's not going to send anything back unless I tell Microsoft to do it. I'm going to turn these on because I like Microsoft to fix the problems that I have. So if I have a problem, I want Microsoft to see it and I want them to fix it so I don't have it anymore. This is just more about location services, things like that, using Bing. You should read through that, find out which one of those works for you. Next, it's going to ask me to sign into my Microsoft account. This is so it can pull the settings from my other machines. I've got a bunch of other tablets out here. I don't know that I'll do that because these little tablets like this, they get used a little differently, so I don't want it pulling the same shortcuts and apps as I have on my desktop because I just run different things on there. So there's my email address. I'm going to put my password in. I'm also going to gray this out so you guys don't hack my Hotmail account. Appreciate that. It's going to send me a text message to make sure that this is really me. It is really me. You and I know that, but it doesn't know that. So I'm going to put my phone number in. It's going to send me a text. And this way it won't add this machine to my account until I give it the code. So I've gotten the code. You all heard my Windows Phone chirp in the background there. This is a nice little security piece. I like this. Go back to sleep, little Nokia Lumia. You've done good, buddy. You've done good. So it asks me if I want to set it up like another PC. I'm going to tell it no. I'm going to set it up like a new one. And I'm not going to sync my start screen layout. Again, that's really handy, and you know, certainly give that an option if you're going to do this, but for mine I'm not going to. Not for this one. Now syncing up with the cloud. Taking its time. One thing this does do is it shows us the screen, because it's obviously running through all the different colors and all that. When these cheap tablets, these sub $99 tablets started coming out, I bought one of the first ones, a Toshiba Encore Mini. It was $99. Like this, it came with the year of Office 365 Professional. It had a 7-inch screen and it had a much crappier screen. But I didn't know any better because it was the first one I'd bought. But now that I've looked at a couple of these, this one, the HP Stream 7, both have really nice screens. So that is one thing that you can do here while you're watching this go, is marvel at how great of a screen $99 gets you these days, because this is a really good screen for the price you're paying. Okay, so here we are. We've got our start screen now. We've got everything going on here. This is kind of cool. It works. Now, one of the things that inspired me to buy this is, like I said, I have the Toshiba Encore Mini. I also have a Dell Venue 8 Pro, which is kind of a higher end tablet like this. It's got a faster processor. It's got the Intel 3740 instead of the 3735F like this one does. It has 2 gig of RAM instead of 1 gig of RAM like this. But I got the Encore Mini just because it was $100. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I got it and it was okay. I didn't use it a lot. I was a little disappointed in its performance. And then I saw this at Best Buy and it was on, which was amazing, and powered up, which was amazing, and working. And I played with it a little bit and I was amazed. Number one, like the screen, I told you about that, but just how well it performed. It doesn't perform like a $99 laptop or a $99 tablet. So I was kind of happy. You can see that Windows, well, it hasn't done it right now, but it brought in like mine. There we go. I'm in Ames, Iowa. It brought that in, all that from OneDrive. So that's kind of nice that it syncs all that stuff up for me. Did speak about the processor and the RAM a little bit. So let's go to the desktop. and let's take a look at a couple of things. So you can open up Task Manager to kind of see how the tablet is doing. If you're trying to talk yourself out of this, you might be thinking, how well can Windows run on 1 gigabyte of RAM? Honestly, astonishingly well. I've got a tablet that's got 2 gig of RAM, and I thought that would never be enough, and it was been enough for what you run on a 7 or 8 inch screen. It's definitely enough. And then I got the Encore Mini, and same way, as long as you're running Metro apps and not trying to compile any code or render out any video or things like that, 1 gig of RAM is enough. Windows does a great job of maintaining all that and monitoring that, so I've been pretty happy. The processor that's in here, like I said, is an Intel Atom Z3735 or 3537. I get those mixed up. Where is the box? That will clear that up. But anyway, it is a low power Intel, low power Atom device, and it has a regular clock speed of 1.3 gigahertz, but it will burst up to 1.8, and it is a 3735F. So that's the processor. So the thing about the bursting is, these days, these tablets, you can see right there, the speed is varying greatly depending on what it's doing, and this processor can spike up to 1.8 gigahertz if you tell it to. The reason it doesn't stay there is these devices have no active cooling, so it can't keep itself cool. The only way it can keep itself cool is to throttle the processor down, and you can see it does that pretty actively here with the processor speed. But it's been pretty good. I've liked that. And this is the Windows 8 Task Manager, big fan. So I see the disk usage in there. Let's talk about that a little bit. I'm going to hold down the Start button, and then I'm going to hit Disk Management. This tool tells us about the disks that are in the system. So we talked about how this thing came with a 16 gig C drive. And that 16 gig drive ends up being just a touch under 15 gig once you do the whole 1000 and 1024 conversion thing. And then they reserve a little over 3.5 gig for the recovery partition. And I've got a great video on how to create a recovery drive if you want to take that partition, copy it off onto a bootable USB drive, and then delete that partition so you have more space. So then that gives us just a touch over 10 gig of usable space on our C drive. It is amazing to me that Windows can run in that, and not only can it run in that, but if you look, we've got 7 gig free. The whole entire Windows 8.1 install is taking 3 gig. So that's pretty crazy. They do that with a thing. You can kind of see a hint to it here called Wim Boot. Wim stands for Windows Image, and it's the way that your install media is set up. So all the Windows files are compressed, and if you ever take like a Windows 8 CD or I guess DVD or whatever, pop it open, there's going to be a boot.wim and an install.wim. That is how the OS gets installed. Starting with Windows 8.1, you can run the OS from one of those WIM files, which is amazing. And that's what these devices with small drives and Windows 8.1, that's one thing that they do, is they run from a compressed Windows image. It pulls the files out as it needs them, and that lets them have these really small drives. Pretty crazy. Also, this device, the Flex 8, has a micro SD slot, and it comes with a 16 gig micro SD card. And you can see that down there is the D drive, so it's just got a 16 gig drive. That's pretty cool. So just a nice little touch. None of the other sub $100 tablets that I've seen have come with a micro SD card. So bravo to Best Buy for throwing that in there and giving that to us. So that's the drive, the CPU, and the RAM. Another thing that I wanted to mention, many of these devices, like my Encore Mini, my Dell Venue 8 Pro, they support a thing called Miracast. Miracast is a industry standard. Android uses it, Windows uses it all over, and it's a way to wirelessly connect a display. So think of it as like HDMI cable without HDMI. This tablet supports that out of the box, which is nice. 8-inch screen can get kind of small. If you have a Miracast receiver, and there are a bunch of those out there, I have a Netgear PTV 3000, but there's a bunch of others. Microsoft has the HD10. Roku 3 boxes can also be Miracast receivers, and the Amazon Fire Stick will also do it, though I've never had any luck connecting that to a Windows tablet. You can also see we've got some of the training stuff here, how to switch between apps and all that. But anyway, so before I did that, you'll see that it's trying to train me on Windows. I think it's saw something that I don't know. Okay, so it came up there. It had that Miracast device. Now it's got everything in my house. But that push to TV device right there, that is a Miracast receiver. And I can set that up, and I've got it set up on a TV here in my office. You'll have to trust me. It does work. I've tested it. But that is one way to connect the screen of this device to another display, a bigger display. Be careful if you do that. One of your options is to make it external only, so that will kill this display here and then make your thing only show your other display. One of the downsides of that is right now the only way I have to access or to control this box is with the touch screen. So I don't want to kill that screen. It becomes very difficult to control a touchscreen device without a touch screen. So be careful with that. But that is a nice thing that these things seem to support. The reason that I'm not going to do that is because I wanted to show you another piece of technology that this thing has that I really like. On the side, this also has a micro HD adapter, which is something that most of these tablets do not have. But this will take any kind of a micro HDMI connector. So right here I have a micro HD to VGI. I also have a micro HDMI to regular HDMI, but I'm using it with something else right now, or else I would show that. But I can hook an external monitor up to this tablet with one of these cables. The cable is going to cost you maybe $10. I'll put a link to a blog post I have that links those up on Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up this HDMI cable here to this adapter, just to show you how easy that this all is. So I'm just going to plug that in there. Tablet hiccups a little bit for me, and then I'm gonna change the camera here. My monitor over there now has the same thing. Now this obviously has the duplicate on it, so let's, instead of that, let's do an extend. So I'm gonna bring us back over here, and I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna come over to devices, project, and I'm gonna say extend. And now we have a different screen over here. And if I come over here and I open the desktop extends over to here as well. And I can tell if I open up Explorer and try to drag it, you can see that it drags over there. I'm not going to drag it over there because, again, this is a touchscreen only right now, and I don't have any way to bring it back. But that's kind of neat. Now, one of the things that I discovered early on when testing this is that the video driver in this device can only handle 2 screens. So while I can connect to Miracast and can connect to VGA, I can't do both at the same time. Or if I do, I have to kill the touchscreen. So I can have 3 types of devices: Miracast, mini HDMI, or the screen, but only 2 of them at a time. So that's kind of nice. I will tell you though, your satisfaction with this device will go down proportionally to the size of the screen that you connect it to. So there are some exceptions to this. If you use this to maybe throw Netflix onto a monitor or something like that, you might not mind it. But one of the things that makes these devices seem like they work great is there's a really small screen that you can't do much with. But once you start projecting these onto larger screens, you start wanting to do more things, have more browser tabs open, have Word open, have Outlook open, and then the 1 gig of RAM and that tiny little 3735 processor just can't chug any faster. So be careful with that. But I am going to disconnect this monitor now because I wanted to show you guys something else. Pull as hard as I can. Alright, so we're back to just one screen now. Underneath that mini HDMI connector is a micro USB connector, and it's a special kind of micro USB connector that these devices use called USB OTG, or USB on the go. Again, it is an industry standard, so Windows tablets use it, but Android tablets use it as well, and stuff like that. You can get a cable like this. This is a USB OTG cable. It's got a male micro USB and a female USB. Get these on Amazon for about $2. Not much to them. I usually order them like 5 at a time, because then I put a couple in my backpack, on a couple in my desk drawer, and just have them everywhere. But what this lets you do is connect USB devices to the charging port. So this device, this is how you charge the device. You take a regular micro USB cable that's hooked up to a wall wart, and you just plug it in and it charges. But if you want to hook peripherals up, then you take this and you plug it in, and then you can hook peripherals up. So I'm just going to drop that in here. Nothing to it. Now, it's no fun to only hook up one USB device. Everybody has more fun with multiple USB devices. So I also recommend a device like this one, something that I use with all of my tablets. Just a USB hub, so it's a 3-port USB hub. This is USB 3, though this device, the tablet, only does USB 2, but this will do USB 3. It's got a 3-port hub on it, which is nice, very handy when you travel. It also has a hardwired Ethernet connection, which I find invaluable. So I can plug this in to this cable, because again, it's all just USB. We're all friends here. That works. It's going to load some drivers for the stuff in there. I've also got a USB keyboard here that I'm going to connect up while we're waiting for that. I could hook up an Ethernet cable to this. I'm not going to, because it's just a lot of work. Oh, I did it again. So one thing that I do all the time with this USB keyboard is it has a sleep button in the upper right hand corner up here, and whenever I pick the keyboard up, I always press that and put the device to sleep. But this is loading up now. It's loading up my devices, but it already works. I'm hitting the Windows key on the keyboard, and that's bouncing me back and forth. And I've got the mouse here, so now I can come over here and mouse to things. Even though it's loading stuff up, it all still works. So that helps this a lot when you're trying to make use of this. This is also how you would do create that that recovery drive. You'll take a USB drive, hook it up to either the USB on the go cable or a hub like this, and that's how you would create your recovery drive, so that you can recover this should your drive fail or something like that. So see, there we go. I lost my mouse for a minute. It was thinking. And if you look now, you'll see that this guy's working awfully hard now. Drive's working, all that. It's going out looking for updated drivers and things like that. But it slowly but surely turns this into a full device. The reason that I unplugged the monitor was because I knew that the USB on the go cable that I have has that right angle that was going to interfere with it, but you could have them both hooked up and then use it like a PC. Again, the bigger the screen, the less happy you're going to be with this device. So just kind of putzing around with this thing a little bit. I've been very happy with the performance. It seems to perform pretty well for a device of its expense, for a $99 device. I can use it. I don't know. I'm having a good time. I feel like I get my $99 worth out of it. It plays my solitaire. It shows me when it's raining, things like that. So I'm a big fan. So thanks for sitting through all this. Hopefully it was entertaining and informative. If you have any questions, comments, or whatever, put them in the comments below, either on the blog post or on the YouTube post, and I would love to hear from you. Again, you can hit me up on Twitter @ToddClint or leave comments here below. Thanks. Have a good day.